It's Taki 117 here, kicking off a new playthrough of Kerbal Space Program. It's been a while, and for that I apologize, but life finds a way. So, here we are, latest version 1.12.3 with both of the DLCs. And I've also installed 63 different mods. Most of these are dependencies for other mods that I actually prefer. But as you can see them all here, some of them say they're not compatible, but they do in fact work. Specifically, the yellow ones are technically not compatible. But here they are. If you want to copy what I'm doing, by all means. But as you can see, we are coming around on China and Japan in our Kerbal-sized real solar system. This specifically is a 2.5-ish times sized planet Earth. So it's 2.5 times larger than stock. But it is actually Earth. We do have clouds, we have city lights. It actually looks really cool. So let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to start a new game. I'm going to call it Taki's Space Exploration. If we are doing career, we're going to be able to revert flights, and if a Kerbal dies, they're going to stay dead. That is actually going to make things a little more tricky. Actually, I have to use our launch escape systems. Also going to go into the contracts, and I don't want asteroid recovery. I don't want base construction. I don't want the IRS-RU, the orbital construction, part testing, rescue, robotic contracts. I don't really care about those. I don't want stations, surveys, or tourism. That is not to say that we aren't going to do these things. It's just I don't want contracts for them. I have enough contract mods installed over here, as you can see, that I don't need them, and specifically for part testing, they're kind of annoying. Let's see, deployed science can stay, I guess. Okay, so that's our contracts. Gonna make sure. Kerbals level up immediately. I'd like having this on. It doesn't really change a whole lot. It just changes how Kerbals level. So, instead of having to return them, they just level up when they get enough experience. I think that's it for here. So we're going to go ahead and accept this. We're going to pick our flag. This is a custom flag that I have uploaded, found it on the internet. I wish I could tell you the artist. I honestly have no idea. I tried looking for the artist and could not find anything. But as you can see, lots of flags from all the different mods that I can choose from, plus some that are included by default. I don't know how to get these specific flags, because I would love to just create my own space agency and have my own flag there, but oh well. So I just dropped it in the flags folder, and there it is. So we're going to accept that, and we're going to go ahead and start. Here we are at the Kerbal Space Center / Kennedy Space Center down in Florida. As you can see, it is the 1st of January 1951 at midnight. So thanks, Gene. I don't actually need to read that. That just tells you how to navigate and such. What I do care about is this remote tech. So this is communication for my satellites. Cheats. No connection needed to control antennas. I like turning this on so that if my satellites lose connection for whatever reason, I can just go and point a dish somewhere and it will connect. Or it should connect. I don't want to say it will connect because things happen. But I like turning that on because it will always allow my satellites to find a signal. Miscellaneous. This is fine. Throttle to 0 on loss of connection. So if my satellites lose connection in the middle of a burn, they're just going to shut their engines off if they can, because you cannot shut off solid rocket motors. This remote take without time warp, I'm very take it or leave it. I usually leave it on. It's not a huge thing. And alternate rules, I like to disable signal delay, just because I don't have time to sit around and wait for, hours, sometimes days, depending on how long or how far away the satellite is. So it's instant. This is one of my favorite mods, Kerbin Environmental Institute. It's science collection for the Kerbal Space Center only. So what it will do is it will take all of the science experiments you've unlocked, run them once, and then you will get all of the science from the Kerbal Space Center all at once. Kind of cheaty in science mode, because that's all you're doing. But it's actually not going to be a huge deal in career mode, and you'll see why here in a minute. So we're going to go full mode. We're going to confirm that. And this is Kerbal Construction Time. One of my favorite mods because it actually slows down my progress. I'm not launching, 6 rockets in a matter of hours. You need to design them, and then when you go to launch them, it actually takes time to build those rockets. So we're going to spin some upgrades. So my rate is going to be 1/2 of a build point per second. And what that means is a rocket is worth a certain number of build points based on how big it is. And so as it's building, it will take 1/2 of a build point to build every second. R&D, I like having a little bit of passive science generation. You'll see it is not a lot. And then this is how fast it takes things to research. 32 science a day is perfect, especially starting out. And you'll see what I'm talking about here in a minute. Alright, so before we do anything, we are going to click this button right here, which is our Kerbin Environmental Institute. And look at all that sweet, sweet science. 754.8. So we're going to just gather all of that and go into our research and development building. This is why I'm not worried about Kerbal Environmental Institute, because our tech tree is massive. This is from the Kerbal Space Program Interstellar mod. Adds things like nuclear reactors and experimental drives, and most importantly, warp drives. Faster than light travel. But, of course, that costs 20,000 science on its own, and we may or may not get there. I'm hoping to get there. I am hoping this series goes on long enough that I will eventually unlock the warp drive and be able to build a warp-capable ship. I make no promises. Because look at everything we got to get there. Something I am going to try to do is I'm going to try to not move on to the next column without finishing the previous column. You will find that gets a little weird, especially in the starting area. As you can see, nodes aren't really arranged very well. That is very possibly because I have multiple tech trees installed. I honestly don't know. I've tried to fix it. I can't. But we're going to start researching stuff. Now, if you'll notice, these are all turning orange. And the primary reason for that is because we aren't actually researching anything. We are queuing them up to be researched. Basic instructions, flight control, manned tech, survivability, basic science, some aviation, there we go. 399 science left. I always get fuel systems as early as I can because it has this external fuel duct, which is amazing for building staged rockets. Electronics are going to be very important. Batteries are good. Some advanced flight control, some lifters, 84 science. I don't think we can get anything else. Nope, everything else costs 90 science. So that's all for that. But as you can see, I need to change scenes. Or specifically, I need to build a rocket. But we'll get there. So we're going to go into mission control and see what contracts we have. Oh, first launch. Launch a vessel. We can do that. That's easy. Okay. Did that fix it? Nope. Alright, so we're going to go into the vehicle assembly building and build our first rocket. Here we are, Gene giving us some tips and tricks. Most of these don't really apply because I'm using so many mods. But thanks, Gene. Okay, so first thing we're going to do is we're going to go to payload and pick up this truss. This is from the Umbra Space Industries Sounding Rockets mod. Neat little mod, adds model rocket parts, for lack of a better word. Kind of cool when you're starting out. One of my favorite starter mods. But now comes the fun part. So down here, and I may need to fix this. Yeah, I need to fix that. Alright, so this is the editor extensions mod. What it does, I'm going to go defaults, and reset all of my stuff. But what it does is it allows me to have different angles over and above what stock does. So stock is either on or off. Here I can go from 1 degree all the way up to 90 degrees, and from 1 radial all the way up to 20 radial. And yes, it will put 20 of whatever you grab and surface attach on your rocket. But for now, I just need one. I do want it on 90 because I'm going to pick up this avionics package, and it is just big enough to fit right in the middle there. But as you can see, it is perfectly aligned, and I'm actually going to turn that off for the next part because I'm going to put a battery right there. And oh, that's communication. Here we go. Science. Need a thermometer so that, you know, we can see how cold it is up there. And on the back here, I actually want to put a barometer. Again, I'm going to turn on that angle snap, and you can see it snapping around. So right there, it is perfectly centered. And this camera is actually... Come on, rotate. There we go. Actually too big for my purposes. I could, you know, put it this way, but that looks weird. Parts are clipping. I don't like that. So I'm actually going to grab this aeronomy sensor array. Once again, turning on my angle snap so it looks nice and neat. And we're going to rotate it that way. Actually, yeah, that looks fine. That's fine. And we're going to grab a parachute. I do have the real shoots mod installed, so I only want to add the parachute to what I actually want to bring back. It will automatically size the parachute and take care of all of the stuff. So you can see pre-deployment diameter, drag coefficient, deploy diameter, all that fun stuff. But what I want to do is turn the minimum pressure all the way up. This is so that when I'm coming back, it's not such a big deal for this rocket, but when I'm coming back from like orbit or the moon or even another planet maybe, I want it to deploy at a safe altitude. And so by turning my minimum pressure all the way up, it's not going to deploy until it hits at least that pressure. We're going to go back into our payload. We're going to place a fairing, just like that. Looks like a proper rocket now. We're going to place some engines. So these engines are actually kind of special. You'll notice I'm not using a decoupler, and that is because this mod, and I don't know how it works, whenever this engine runs out of fuel, it will just drop away. And we're going to add some fins, and this is where the 90-degree angle snap really comes into play, because I can just do that, and I have 3 of them, and they are now perfectly centered, and I don't have to fiddle with it. And I'm going to put 3 smaller ones again, perfectly centered, and they're just there. And we're going to name this craft Sound R. Now this is a naming convention for another of the mods I have. It will actually add a Roman numeral at the end of this when it gets to the launch pad. And I'll show you what that looks like, because we're going to save it and we're going to launch it and see how it's been added to the build list. We're going to open up our Cobalt construction time. And there it is. It's going to take about 4 days to build, but because we've researched some tech nodes, we have some upgrades. So I'm actually going to upgrade that a little bit, get this to 1 build point, and spend the rest in R&D. There we go. So now, as you can see, it's gone from like 4 days down to 2 days. All this will take about half an hour or so to research, so we're going to just warp there. And now it's moved on to the next tier of stuff. So I'm going to go ahead and build this, and I will see you on the launch pad. Okay, and here we are on the launch pad, ready to launch. So we have our smart stability assistance system. It doesn't do a whole lot for this rocket, because I don't have any reaction wheels, there's no guidance. It's just a trash can full of boom. We have my orbit info and my surface info. Again, doesn't really matter a whole lot for this rocket, but they will become important later. And my delta V. As you can see, I have about 990 meters per second total in vacuum, 851 at the surface. And then thrust to weight ratios for both vacuum and surface, as well as stage breakdowns for both. But without further ado, and we are very quickly running out of electric charge, launching in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. There we go. And see it falling away. Ignite our second stage. And we just kind of want to see how far we can get here. That fell away. Excellent. Alright, we're still going up. I'm going to go ahead and stage those. Oh, there goes our first lifter stage. Staying with us there for a little bit. Yay, air resistance. Okay, as we're falling, time to run some science. Oh, that's the battery pack. There we go. We're going to log the temperature. And we're going to log the pressure at about 6 kilometers. And we're going to do this aeronomy sensor survey. There we go. So now we just wait to start falling. Our parachute will deploy, and then we will land safely. So I will speed this up for you guys so you don't have to wait like I do. And I'll see you on the ground. There we go. So we can now safely recover our payload, spend our science, pick up another contract, and launch another rocket. But I will save all of that, or at least the launching another rocket part, for the next episode. So I'll see you then, and remember, it's only rocket science.